So, right, the novel spans from May of 2021 through February of 2025, right? Right? It's a novelization of my experiences with Quentin Tarantino and the movie Critic, right? And so, right? Right? I'll cut to the chase, right? I was tested negative, maybe 1 month later. But now, right, it's descended into a very dangerous, palpable evil. And so I'm a little worried again, even though I've had no sexual partners. And they told me that when I got tested in New York that women aren't really carriers. And since I don't do butt stuff, I don't do gay stuff, there's really only one way I could have gotten it. Right? Because he's a base fucking degenerate. Right? So, right? Trey, Anastasio, and Fish, right, which is clam, are involved, right? That they've cast their allegiances with evil, right? Right? How do I know that? I was discussing this at the beginning of this video, right? That I wrote them a series of letters, first about helping us reconcile, Quentin and myself, and then about me getting my novel published, right? And then me just curious, me just trying to see where the truth, like what the truth of the matter is, right? And so the last correspondences that I wrote to them, I said something to the effect of, this guy is dangerous and evil and he wants me to die. I want you to send me everything that you've received that involves me. That's all. That's all, right? You don't have to, right? Just whatever involves me. And I sent the same thing to the Discovery Institute in Seattle as well, right? Because I wrote David Berlinski and Dr. Stephen Meyer as well, right? And of course they said nothing. And so what I'm saying right now is that silence is its own answer, right? That if the truth of the matter was just that I had mailed them letters and was a raving lunatic, right? Why, seeing how I've supported both of those institutions for a long time, right? Why wouldn't they send me the letters that I sent them and say, we can tell that you're struggling, we can tell that you're hurting, you're suffering, please know that we love you, we appreciate you supporting our endeavors, right? Be well, you're not well, be well, right? That's optically, there is no other, right? Anything less than that, right? Suggests that those people, those institutions don't respect their fan base. That's the point, right? However, right, if Quentin wrote both of them and slandered me to them, right? Right? Then, right, he's going to tell them, no, you don't send anything to him, right? Up to and including perhaps threatening to torture them with the same evil that he puts on me. And I've already told him I'm going to. Like, I'm going to fucking, right, that this thing, I wrote a letter to the Pope, right, that this thing's gotten so out of hand, right, that there's no more, right, 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 so my point being that Fish, right, and the Discovery Institute are in league with evil. That's it. There's nothing else to interpret there. David Mamet is in league with evil, right? Claire Berlinski is in league with evil. Martin Scorsese is in league with evil. Paul Schrader is in league with evil. Francesca Scorsese is in league with evil, right? Right? And so it's time to talk about it. It's time to, right? It's time to just bring everyone up, right? I'm initiating the whole world because I betray no master, right? Right? I spent so much time hating myself, right? Feeling like, oh gosh, I knew what he wanted. And why didn't I? But now I see. Now it's so obvious. It's it's just crystal clear in my mind, right? Right? That he's a sick degenerate, that he's a dangerous, evil man, right? Who doesn't see any of the good things in his life, right? Doesn't see that fine fucking goddess of a wife, right? He debases the mercy seat, right? Right? He debased the memory of his father-in-law, debased his father-in-law's immortal soul, right? And so it's all in this book, right? We're talking about it. We're reading through the novel. As far as the writing, right, even though it's, it's not what it needs to be, I do enjoy those passages a lot, right? And so, right, what do the other actors in his films have to say about it? And of course, they're never going to say anything, right? I think about all those beautiful young women, right? Mikey Madsen, right? What's that other bitch's name? Sydney Sweeney, right? Margaret Qualley, right? Right? So, it's easy to be evil. These things that he does, right, he could be using to heal the sick, right? That it's the same, it's the same power. Those are the opposite sides of the coin, right? Right? Pure giving, right, which is God's law, right? As soon as something comes into manifestation, it gives and gives and gives of itself unconditionally, right? Right? The sun has no concern for what it receives, right? A tree has no concern for what it receives, right? And so, when the adept, right, when the psychic clairvoyant, right, the voodoo practitioner, the magic sorcerer, right, harmonizes, right, their intention, right, their psychic resonance, right, which engenders a novel neuronal firing, right, right? That when on the highest levels of that expression, right, you heal the sick, right? That you take diseases out of people, right? And on the other side of that, right, which is what we're embroiled in now, right? You can give people diseases, and it's so fucking base. It doesn't get any more fucking evil than what I'm talking about right now, right? And so, right, if this was just about a movie, right? Right? After I burned him at Tribeca, he would have produced a non-disclosure agreement, paid me, nothing, paid me a little bit of money, up to $5 million, and said, you sign that, no career ever for you. You go play Hamlet in Oklahoma. You go play Hamlet in North Dakota. Right? But this isn't, right? But this thing that we're talking about here, this thing that we're doing here, right? It ain't got nothing to do with movies. There's no such thing as an emergency movie. This is an emergency frequency, right? This is a divine celestial frequency, right? And so, right, this has been an exercise in power. That's the point, right? And so when I didn't give him power, right, he's been trying to trick me into eating a bullet. That's everything that he's done has been towards that end, right? And so now we're talking about it because he thinks that black magic, sorcery, and evil is cool. And so, right? Anyone who casts their allegiances with Quentin Tarantino is a fucking sick degenerate who supports black magic evil. Right? See what's good in your life. Life is not an accident. There is a latent intellect embedded within every cubic centimeter of space. All instances of clairvoyance is the conscious awareness of the adept tapping into the non-locality of consciousness. Right? Right? So the highest levels of pure godlike divinity sees you healing the sick, right? Sees you walking on water, and the lowest depths of satanic depravity have you killing and destroying someone. Right? So, hold those close to you, dear. See what's good in your life. Uplift your soul to God. Right? Life is not an accident. Like, comment, subscribe, share. God bless.